What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark, MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And I'm still doing my March Madness. And that means I was going through Netflix and picking out the best movies that Netflix has done, trying to find 31 good, great, or excellent movies that Netflix has touched. And this is one of them. This is Spike Lee's Da 5 Bloods. So click like and subscribe because we're going to get into it. It has audio description because of course it does. And it's a war movie. It's my second time watching it. And I honestly, second time through, did not enjoy it as much as the first time through. I think Da 5 Bloods also dropped sort of during the pandemic window when we had like less to consume. So a new Spike Lee movie was like, oh yeah, of course. Well, why not? I still stand by the fact that I think Delroy Lindo should have gotten an Oscar nomination because, again, he's been a solid actor for his like entire career, and this is sort of like the big showcase role for him, and he just doesn't get it. So I've said that before in previous videos, and when I had the opportunity to mention it. So, but like, considering like Spike Lee right before this made KK Klansman or Black Klansman, if you just don't want to stutter, um, which I do think is one of my favorite Spike Lee movies, probably like top three for me. Um, that, at Da 5 Bloods, having rewatched, I've seen Black Klansman twice, and I've seen Da 5 Bloods now twice. And Black Klansman just held up better the second time through. Da 5 Bloods is just really long compared to, it's a lot of journeying through the present and journeying through the past. But it's compelling performances, including from some actors who we don't get to see a lot of, like people like Clark Peters and Norm Lewis, who don't usually get major roles in movies. But yeah, I mean, Delroy Lindo's got Jonathan Majors, and we've also got Chadwick Boseman in here. So there are some people that are used to getting lead roles or will get more lead roles until Hollywood takes them away from lead roles, and or they unfortunately die an untimely death at a young age. But it's a Vietnam exploration, and watching this movie while I'm also watching Vietnam, the war that built America, uh, the war that shaped America, the war that, I don't know, the Apple Plus limited series, docuseries is interesting because I just made it through, well, not just, a few weeks ago I watched the episode with Hanoi Hannah, and how they were talking about that the Vietnam had this radio broadcast where they were trying to convince black soldiers, like, why are you fighting us? We're not your enemies. Look at the way they're treating you at home. Those people are your enemies. We're your friends. And you get a little bit of that here, and you get sort of these soldiers' reactions to that message too, and it works. I mean, it starts a conversation where they're like, I think it's the scene where they learn of Dr. King's death, and their visual reaction to it. So they have that, which is like, now I'm like, okay, I understand like the weight of it and the realness of it. It's been explored now in documentary form, and I've seen real soldiers talking about what that experience was like for them. So to see it in Da 5 Bloods a second time after having seen it sort of like in real form, have people talk about what it was like to have that experience, gave me new perspective on that element of the movie. But some of the other parts of it are just, it just feels like a long movie. It just feels like where we think it's going to be easy for us to go out into the jungle and get our gold. And it's not. It's not a quick trip. to get some gold. But they're bound and determined to. And Spike Lee telegraphed some stuff early on that you're like, well, that's probably going to come up. And then you're like, oh, it does come up. I don't want to give it away because I want you to be able to see it. But there's a scene where David, uh, just in case you're here and you've already seen it, you just wanted to know what I thought about the movie. There's a scene where David, played by Jonathan Majors, is talking to one of the locals. And he asks her about these two and like what it is that they do. And he learns what it is that they do. And then uh, having seen the movie now twice, you realize that that's just foreshadowing. It's not really just like an interesting fact about Vietnam, which is what it feels like it could be. It ends up being just foreshadowing, which kind of feels like a little bit of laziness on Spike Lee's part because he doesn't usually foreshadow that hard. He's got a lot more nuance and capability to have nuance in his movies. So, um, but it still has biting commentary. I love the fact that one of these guys is MAGA, and so they can have the conversations about like why on earth are you? And he wears like a MAGA hat the whole time. He's out there in the jungle, um, and so it allows them to flash back, and they're like, "Were you the black guy? Were you the black guy at that rally?" And it pulls up the one rally where um, Trump is proudly touts the fact that there's like one black guy at his rally. Um, so like some of that is funny and sort of reflectively, even after all of this time, still somehow funny. But uh and I think it's really just the performances, even like Isaiah Whitlock Jr., who like these actors, they just don't get this, they don't get featured like this in movies like this. These roles they go to actors like Jonathan Majors and Chadwick Boseman, and then Delroy Lindo usually plays like a supporting role. It doesn't star Delroy Lindo and have Chadwick Boseman in a really small part, with Delroy being supported by, you know, Clark Peters, Norm Lewis, and Isaiah Whitlock Jr. Like, that's the gang. That's the Five Bloods. Jonathan Majors plays the son who kind of goes along and completes the five. But really, the four old men that were there before were those other four. These are not people who get many opportunities to star in movies. And without Netflix giving Spike Lee the opportunity to make a movie like this, they probably never would have. And these are all really solid actors, but they're usually character actors, they're usually supporting actors, and they don't really get the day. Apple Plus has a uh, docu-series coming out, number one on the call sheet. They don't get to do that. So for them to be up there, even close to, obviously Delroy should be number one on the call sheet, um, but for the others to be even close to his character, I don't think they've ever been that high on a call sheet before, except, when Norm Lewis was on Broadway playing Phantom. I guess Isaiah was pretty high on the call list for The Wire. But I don't know that he was number one. They probably still put Dominic West up there. So, I just, it's a good movie. It's got a great soundtrack to it. It's funny at times. It's horrifying at times. There's action. There's consequence. But the problem with Spike Lee is that he has some truly excellent movies. This is just a little bit below that. Like, it's not quite the A minus that I would have remembered it being. So, for me, after everything, including, some really strong audio description, I'm gonna go with a B plus for Da 5 Bloods. Just because I know there are other war movies that I think are better than this, but there are also other Spike Lee movies that I think are better than this. Obviously, Do the Right Thing, but also I love BlacKkKlansman, Inside Man. You know, he's a solid director, and he's been directing things. It's better than Old Boy though, way better than Old Boy. So it's my least favorite Spike Lee movie. Um, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.